Okay, I'm going to be working page 80 through 83. This is in your practice, your instruction math book. It'll say instruction on the front cover in that top right corner of it. The most of the pages in your instruction book have a blue heading and surrounding it like you see on my computer screen. I've also attached these pages to your Google Classroom in case for some reason you can't find them in your book. So we're going to start with page 80. We're going to work through these problems together. I'll be going from the screen to my notebook paper as I'm working them out. It says in this lesson you will add and subtract by breaking apart numbers. Look at the problem below. Now we're going to only be working with addition this week and we'll move to subtraction next week. Rodney has 147 songs on his MP3 player, and Elaine has 212 songs on her MP3 player. How many songs do Rodney and Elaine have in all? So your clue word here, of course, is in all. Now, what I like that they've done is they've taken your number and they have built it using base 10 blocks. You'll be doing something very similar in your interactive notebook. So let's start with A. A wants us to take 147 and write it in expanded form. So you see 100 plus 40 plus 7. I'm going to go ahead and copy that on my notebook paper so I have that written down in case I need to do some work with that. That was Rodney's number in expanded form. Now they want us to do the same thing to Elaine. It says write 212 in the same way. So in the hundreds place we have a 2, so that means on my notebook paper I'm going to make that 2 a 200, plus the 1 in the tens place will be 10, plus the 2 in the ones place will be 2. So in expanded form, that number would look like this, 200 plus 10 plus 2. This is what you should have written on your line. That is expanded form of Elaine's song. This is letter A. Okay? B. B says add the hundreds from both numbers. So we're going to combine our hundreds. So Rodney had 100 plus Elaine had 200. When I combine those, I'm going to get 300. Okay, C says add the tens from both. So Rodney had 40 plus Elaine had 10. 40 plus 10 is 50. Let's go ahead and go to D. D says add the ones from both. Rodney had 7 plus Elaine had 2. 7 plus 2 is 9. So we have 359. So E wants us to explain how to find the number of songs they have in all. So we're going to explain it like this. We will add our hundreds, tens, and ones. So it's going to look like this. 300 plus 50 plus 9. That is our adding of our hundreds, our tens, and our ones. We're combining all of those place values together so we get 9, 5, 3. So our total, of course, is 359 songs in all. Okay, that's page 80. Let's move on to page 81. Now, 81 is going to give you some examples of how to break apart 147. You can see 100 plus 40 plus 7. They took the 40 then and broke it into 20s. They put the 100 and the 40 together for 140 plus 7. And then they took a 7 and broke it apart. They're just showing you how you can break numbers apart and then add them back together. Okay, here's what I call the old school way. 7 plus 2 is 9. 4 plus 1 is 5. Of course, it's in the tens place. And then 1 plus 2 is 3. And of course, it's in the hundreds place. So we can get 359. So those, you can just look over that page and it shows you how to break them apart. Now they want us to do a reflection. So number 1, at the bottom, this is on page 81. It says, show how to break apart numbers to add 240 plus 130. So this is how I would break that apart. I would put my hundreds together. So that's 200 plus 100, which gives us 300. Then I would add my tens together. 40 plus 30 is 70. And then I would add my hundreds and my tens together. 300 plus 70 equals 370. And that's how I would break them apart. Now there's lots of ways you could do this. If you choose, this is just the way that I would do it, using place value. All right, let's go ahead and go to page 82. 82 gives you a picture. It says Garcia has 130 trading cards. Mark has 280 trading cards. How many trading cards do Garcia and Mark have together? Together being our clue word telling us to add. You can see that they've pictured it. They've got Garcia's 130. They have Mark's 280. And then they're putting them together, all the hundreds together, all the tens together. Notice what it says here. When you have 10 tens, you're going to switch that. So they're going to put those 10 tens together to make an extra 100. And that would be how they would regroup it. So modeling it would look like this. You had nothing in the ones place. You actually have 110 from the tens place. You're going to regroup that 100 over. So that's going to give you 300 plus the 110, which is 410. So they're just modeling how you can break apart that number. So there's really nothing to do on page 82 except look over it. And now we're on page 83 and we're going to work these out. So let's start with number 2. Okay. Number 2 says, add the ones. 0 plus 0, and record the sum in the ones column below the line. All right, so over to the side, they have a grid. It looks like this. Let me show it to you. Now I'm just going to copy it on my paper so that I can work it out. Okay, so this is my grid. They want us to add the ones and record it. So there's 0, 1, so we're going to go ahead and write that 0 down. Number 3 wants us to add the tens, and how many tens are in the sum. So let's add our tens. We have 3 and 8 tens, so that's 8, 9, 10, that's 11 tens. So there are 11 tens. That's what I'll put on that first line is 11. 11 tens. How do you regroup the tens as hundreds and tens? Well, since I have a 2-digit tens place, we have to put down the 10, and we're going to turn that 10 tens into 100 and 110. That's what 11 means. It means 11 tens means 100 and 110. So on our line, we have a 1. We're splitting that 1 apart since it's a 2-digit number. And then number 4 wants us to actually regroup it up here on our grid. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the number of hundreds regrouped from the tens in the box above the 100. So we're going to actually put down the 10 and regroup. Now I like for you to circle that regrouped. 10 tens, of course, is 100. So that's why it's going in this hundreds column. So that's what that'll look like. You'll have a circled 1 on top of your hundreds column. You'll have a 1 below in your tens column. Okay. Now we're moving on. That was number 4. This is number 4. So now we're going to number 5. Number 5 says, now add the hundreds. Be sure to include the regrouped 100 in the box. That's why I circle it. What numbers do you need to add? So on number 5, in our hundreds place, we have our circled 1 plus the 1 that was already there plus the 2 that was already there. So we're going to write those numbers on our line, because that's what we're adding. And of course, we're going to add those together. And up here, we're going to put 4 because 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. So we want to make sure to put that in our grid. We need that 400. And then still on number 5, it says, how many trading cards do Garcia and Mark have together? And we now know our answer is 410 trading cards. And that's the number we'll put on that line. Number 6. Number 6 says, how could this method to add when both 10s and 1s need to be grouped? Show this with the problem 158 plus 363 at the right. So I'm going to work this out. Let me copy the problem. 158 plus 363. It's in the grids, so pretend mine's in the grids. I'll go ahead and do a grid real quick. Okay, so let's do our 1s. Always start with the 1s. 8, 9, 10, 11. We're going to have to regroup that. So put down the 1, 1. Regroup the 10 1s. Circle it. 1 and 5 is 6. Plus 6 is 12. So we have 12 10s. Put down the 2 10s. Regroup the 10 10s. Make that 100. Circle it. 1 plus 1 is 2. Plus 3 is 5. So of course our answer is 521. Okay, that's number 6. Now you have a try it at the bottom for 7 and 8. I'm not going to work those out. I want you to do 7 and 8 on your own in your book. And if you have questions on how to regroup, just make sure you ask in our Google Meets.